Yeah. So welcome back, everyone. I hope you all have practiced whatever we have covered so far. Data provider and TestNG. Today we'll try to integrate these TestNG and extend reports. Then we'll also try to integrate with Excel sheets, and then we'll also try to integrate with listeners. Right? You might not be getting what I'm speaking now, but we're going to see that now. Right? So we have basically generated extend reports, but this is not integrated with our test cases, right? So there is no username is entered, right? So we have to integrate with our Selenium, right? So, or the TestNG test. So how we will do that? So yeah, so first I'll create a new class so that it's more easy for us to understand clearly. Okay, test. So you have something like this. I'll copy the test. Okay, so this is the test, right? So this is a test, right? So very simple test, driver dot quit. Now this is a very simple test that will launch the browser, enter a username, password, and quit the browser. But we want to also integrate this for every test run. It has to even create a test extend report that contains all these details, correct? So we already have seen extend report. So there is a reason why I have given small gap here. If you notice, this is before every test. Before all the tests getting started, we need to tell what is the extend report, what type of extend report we want. We want a HTML report, and where is the file you want to generate. So this is the file I want to generate in this particular location. The HTML file should be in current working directory. And also this particular piece of code is belongs to the first test case, correct? So we are creating we are calling create test. We're doing all these things. This is for the first test case, this is for the second test case, and this is for after all the tests getting executed. So now you should remember there is something that gets executed before everything. Before every test getting started, there is something in TestNG that will execute. What is that?
Before test.
Okay, before test,
That's
before
all.
method. Yes,
Before
before
Yeah.
switch.
suite.
Okay.
Yeah, so before suite is the one that will get executed before all the things, right? So you can also do test method. Sorry, maybe at the rate before suite. Okay, and public void before suite. Whatever the name of the method you can give now. Okay, and as I told, this will be before the suite, right? So I'll copy these 3 lines. I'll put it here. Very simple. Now there is a bunch of code that I executed after the suite, right? So that is extend.flash. So what I'm going to do, I'm also going to create after suite, and I'm going to put that code there, right? Like void after suite. And if you notice, we will copy this code, extend.flash, and we'll put it here. But the problem now is the extend reports is what we defined here, but it's not accessible in this place because this is a local variable, right? The extend reports extend, but we are trying to access this in another method, which is not possible. So the only approach is I need to copy this, put it as a class variable, and can okay, and you can remove this. So if you notice, the color now is all red. So it indicates they are all pointing to the same one of this, right? So this is the first one. And also we have moved this, Now we have only test related stuff. So before each test getting started, so if you notice, before each test getting started, I need to call this particular statement, correct? So this, where we can put it. before every test, I need to call this so that it creates a test node entry in the external reports. What is the ideal place to put this?
Before method.
Yes, before method. So again, guys, before every test case, there is a before method which will get executed. That's why I covered that first before covering this. So yeah, before method will be executed before each method. So public void, maybe I call it as before method or setup, whatever you want. And now, so this is a particular piece of statement. I'll copy this. I'll put it here. Okay. Again, what else? So after everything, I need to tell once username is entered, I need to tell username is entered, right? So maybe username is entered, and then I can also tell URL is loaded, whatever. URL is loaded. But the problem is, again, this is local to this particular method. So it is not accessible here. So again, we need to declare this as a class variable. Okay. Now everything is looking fine. So this is also fine. So maybe after that, we'll also tell password is entered. Password is entered. So if you notice, we haven't used after method. Maybe we can also use after method until the test is getting passed or whatever. But for now, we have only used before suite, after suite, and before method. Again, guys, the order can be anywhere. Okay, so you can keep this here also. That doesn't matter. Okay, first, before executing all the tests, it will execute this, and then it will come here. It will execute the before method. Then it will execute this, and then it will look for any after methods. There is no after method, so it will go and execute the after suite. Correct. Let's try to run the test and see whether the reports are getting generated, but this time along with the Selenium test. Previously, there is no Selenium test here. We have run a standalone report, but this time there is a Selenium and TestNG here, and we will try to integrate with exit reports. So the browser is now getting launched. Yeah, it also closed. So if you notice, it also executed the before suite and after suite and all that. So now let's go here and check the index.html. So you can basically open this in browser of your choice. Now, if you notice, login test is just ran now. URL is loaded, username is entered, password is entered. And this is what we want to see, right? We have now integrated our Selenium test with the external report. Again, we have created only one report. Let's try to create one more test case. Let's say this test case name is test2, and we'll also tell URL is loaded, whatever. And then maybe I'll just tell one more extra line, test2 is passed, whatever. Okay. So this is for differentiation. Let's see what's happening. Okay. So now, if you notice, the name of the test is login test. Okay. Because we have hard coded it here. Okay. We have hard coded the value here. So let's see what's happening. Okay. What will happen this time? And let's me try to run the whole thing. So there are two tests in this class. So let it both run. First test is done. Second test is, seems to be also done. Okay. I don't think it ran properly. Maybe we will use a TestNG.xml to run it. Okay. So it's not depend on this. It's because if you have multiple tests, it's always a good practice to use TestNG. Let's right click, create TestNG.xml, click on OK, and let's go and open the TestNG.xml file. TestNG.xml, and we can also use some online formatters. online XML formatters. Because at that time I think it's ran just only one test. So let's format this. Let's copy this whole thing. We'll edit in the IDE. Okay. If you notice, we actually want to run only this. Okay. This is the only class that we want to run. These are all the other classes that have a test method, but we are not bothered about them now. So we will remove that. Okay. So only class that we are trying to run is TestNG external report integration, which has two tests. One is test one is test two, which is what we are trying to run here, right? Again, it's not mandatory that you have to give the methods here. You can just mention the classes itself. So it will pick all the addressed in the classes. Okay. So yeah, this should be fine. Again, you can write this in one line. If you write it in one line, you can collapse this empty tag. So it becomes something like this. Okay. So now, yeah, that's fine. Let's try to run it. So now the second browser is also getting opened. Everything is getting passed. Now we should see the report. Let me go there and just reload this. Okay. Because we are producing in the same. If you notice, this is also login test. This is also login test. Okay. So this is what is getting. So everything is getting printed correctly. The test 2 is passed, but the name is hard coded here. But I want to give a name of this test case, right? So I should not hard code this here. Okay. So if there are multiple tests, how can I do this? Okay. Uh, in those cases, there are two approaches. One, you can remove this and then you can add this as a first line in every test case. And then you can mention test one. Okay. And then here also you can mention first line and then mention test two. So this will create a test before your test, but we are not utilizing this before method. Okay. This is okay, but this is not still a good approach. We'll try to keep it in the old place itself and try to optimize this code. Okay. So how we can do this? One thing is there is something called as reflection in Java. Okay. Which is like, let's say you have a house and you have a back door. Okay. You can also come to the house via front door and the back door, right? Reflection is something like a back door. You can also access something at the runtime with the help of reflection. Though we are not going to deep dive, just understand if you add something like method yum, okay, or method. So if you hover this mouth, okay, it will tell import class. Just import the class from java.lang.reflect. Once you do this, if you type method now, it will tell you dot. See, if you notice this get name will get you the name of this particular method. Okay, test method which is calling this. Okay, so now the test method name is test1. Okay, so if I run the test now, it should basically create properly. So which is test1, test2 in the reports. Let's see. First test is done. Good. So if you notice, this time it has find the which particular test is calling this. So this method is very smart. This guy is very smart. It knows for which test case it is calling this before method. Okay. So TestNG guys have coded like this. Okay. You don't have to really worry about it. But yeah, we are finding the test one at the runtime. The name of this method at the runtime using this method reflection. Okay. You can also define description. Okay, as I already told, this is a description of the test to check whether the test is blah 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 whatever. Okay, and here also we'll put some description. Let's say description to. Okay, you can give your whole description, but for now this is just a dummy test, so I'm just giving like this. Okay, so instead of name you can also tell get method get get modifiers, get parameters. Okay, method dot. Let's see whether we can get it here. Okay. Anyways, I think this is not accessible here, but yeah, for now, just let it keep it as get name. Once we learn the listeners, we will try to print the description in the report. Okay, instead of the name test one. Okay, so we'll come to that. But before that, do you have any doubts in this so far? Any doubts, guys?
So, Amodan, why we are not using before class? Because we are using
So
the
we could
same.
have used before class, but the thing is, tomorrow if I am trying to create one more test, okay, let's say I'll create one more test. Okay, this is one more test. Okay, and then this particular test is basically let's say demo test, and this demo test is also there. So for this also you want to create a report. Okay, now what you can do here in the, if you use before suite, you can just go here and add a new class alone. Okay, class, the name is basically test dot one more test. Okay, that's it. And now you can collapse this HTML tag. Okay, so now this is done. Now what you can do, this is one more test, it will run this, and this will also run this. What I can do, I can also create a base class for this. Okay, so that I'll move the before method and after method, so before suite and before method and after suite, all these things to a new class, so that this test also will be in picture. So for example, what I do, I create a new package itself. uh, let's say the package name is okay, let's say mm, demo, whatever, demo. Okay, and here I'll create a new class called as base test. Okay, I'll move the important things here. Okay, let's say the common things are before suite. Okay, base test, and then you also have the after method, the after suite, sorry. Okay, now we also have these two tests, TestNG, this one, and one more
One
test.
more.
I am just moving this to this particular package, click on refactor. Okay, I have moved to a different package, is it? Okay, do refactor. Now this all came here. Okay, so we have one base test. This is one test. This is what this particular class is also having two tests. Now this is not accessible because let's go to the base test and make it as a public or protected since we have this. Okay, now let's go there. What is this problem? Local variable, you have to access this from base test. Come on, this ID gone mad. It should be accessible. Let me close this and open it again. It's a public one, so login test before method. Public extend test is correct. Come on. Login test. Okay, let's say I didn't created the extends base test. Now I'm extending the base test. Here also I'm extending the base test. Okay. Now what happens? Now, we have the common code here before suite, after suite, and before method. So first time when it goes and tries to execute the test one, it will check, okay, this guy is extending base test. Okay, let's go and check in base test whether this guy have any before or after suite. Now we have this. Okay, before and after suite will be applicable for all the classes. But if I use it as a before class, I cannot use that in the another class. Okay, so this particular method will not be able to use it. So that's why we are creating as a before suite. This has to be called before all the classes, before all the test methods. That's the reason we use before suite. Now, if I run this testng.xml, we will get three things in the report. Let's try to run it. So all the three tests will be recorded in the report. The first two things we have integrated with Selenium. The last one is just a simple test method. Actually, just prints testing, but yeah. So now the last one, the one more test is failed because it's telling null pointer exception at the 33rd line. Okay, guys. So we will sort this out. Okay, but for now, just go to the real basics that it worked till here. The before class, why I didn't use this? Because the before class is basically only applicable for the class methods. If you have 10 tests before, test 10 test methods in the class itself, then the before class will be helpful. If you are going to use in from other classes also, then before class won't be useful. So we are going to use only before suite. Okay, so that's the reason. Okay, now so any other doubts before I know this is not working, the one more test, but if I try to debug now again, this will take time. um, so yeah, any other doubts in this before we go back and learn about listeners? For now, what I can do, I will just replace all these things into the same class, so that we don't get confused. Okay, we don't have to extend this now. So just understand, if you can understand this, that's more than enough. Monetization is not applicable here. Okay. Good. So this is the one that you want to understand. You can forget about this base test. Okay, you can forget about this one more test. It's all not needed. I'll also remove this. Okay, this is the okay. So if you understand till here, that is more than enough, guys. We will cover that in the framework creation. Okay. Any other doubts? So to summarize, if we are creating multiple tests, okay, since we understand our extend report, these 3 lines of code should be written before all the tests getting started. So we thought before suite is the right place, and we kept it here. And in case of extend.flash, this should be ran after all your tests got completed. So we thought after suite will be the right place, and we kept everything here. And in case of test, this particular piece of statement should be executed every time before you create a new test case. So we thought before method is the right place, and we keep it here. But when we keep it here, we cannot hard code the test case name. So to get the test case name dynamically, we used method reflection and got the test case name. So it dynamically fetch the test case name, and it'll feed it here. And every time you run your loading the URL, you just want to log this into the report. We are using something like this, and this get logged into the report, right? Once all the tests are getting passed, the extend.flash will happen, and it will produce the reports in the particular mentioned location. So if you understand till here, that's well and good. Okay. Now we also have to know about two more things. Okay, one is what is listener in TestNG, and we also need to know how to read data from Excel sheets. So these are all two important things that we need to cover. So for that, first we'll cover the Excel sheet reading. Okay, so what I can do, I have basically created Excel reading. So let me remove all these things. Okay, so now see, not all the time when we learned about the data provider test, the problem is, okay, these data is something that we are generating here, right? It's hard coded. But imagine you have an Excel sheet, and from Excel sheet you want to fetch this data and then use it in the data provider. Okay, so that's what the next agenda what we are going to learn. So because see, not every team will have an option to hard code a data like this. Okay, sometimes you want to give your manual testers an option to have it in all the test data maintenance in the Excel sheet. They maintain everything in the Excel sheet. You read that value and you use it in your code. That's what the most company use. Again, using Excel sheet is not a really good approach, but as a beginners, it's what you need to understand and how we can do this. Okay. So for the Excel reading, again, Java doesn't has its own code. So what we have to do is we have to add two more dependencies to the pom.xml, right? So, guys, first, Java doesn't know how to interact with web browsers. So we added Selenium dependency. Then to maintain the executables, it was really problem. Chrome driver.exe, gecko driver.exe. We have to maintain multiple things, multiple versions are there. So to avoid them, we use WebDriver Manager. Again, Java and Selenium doesn't has its own reporting tools, so we use external reports. Then TestNG is a unit testing framework that we are using, from which we are getting data provider, all the other good functionalities. So we have added TestNG as well. Now, TestNG, Selenium, all these things are fine, but they don't have the capability to read from the Excel sheet. If you want to work with Excel sheet, you need to add these two dependencies to your pom.xml. Okay, it's from Apache POI and then 5.1.0. Again, POI.ovo.xml is the artifact ID 5.1.0. So you just need to copy paste this line and then go to Maven and then click on reload. It will download all the stuff for you. Since I have already clicked on reload, I'm not doing it again. I'll go to the Excel reading. So first we will try to read from the Excel, then we will try to integrate with the data provider. Okay, so now we are going to read from Excel sheet. Excel sheet. So this is going to be really easy approach. Not many people out there can explain this very easily, but I'm going to do that. So first I'll just open this in Explorer. I'll also show you. So I have already created a testdata.xlsx file in this particular folder itself. You can also go and create a new Excel sheet. Again, guys, I hope you all know. So you just right click new and then open the Microsoft Office Excel worksheet. Okay, that's it. Very simple thing. Okay, just create it. And here we have three sheets by default. And in the first sheet, I have entered a username, password, and then I have entered these things and some password, right? Maybe I can give the real username, that is admin123 and admin. And the second one will be some dummy values, okay? So maybe this one should pass, this one should fail, something like that, okay? So you can add as much as you want, but for now, I just stopped till here, okay? I'll save the file. Now, first, we are inside Java, right? We are inside Java. Now we need to understand where this file is located. If you want to read something from the file, we need to find the file location, right? So let's find the file location. The file is basically located in the current working directory, and it is called, the file name is testdata.xlsx. Okay, you need to give the proper extension as well. Excel file, the extension is xlsx. Okay, so correct. So in the current directory, slash in the current directory, search for the testdata.xlsx file. Correct. So we have come here. Now inside the file, we need to find which sheet it is, and in the sheet, we need to find which row it is, and then which column it is, and then which cell, so that we can find this exact value. Okay, so you need to know that row number and the column number to find a cell. Correct. So this is very simple approach. So now we have found the file. Now we need to do some reading operation, right? So we have something called as file input stream. So we have to create an object for this, and then it will ask, hey, I'm trying to read a file. Okay, you are trying to read a file. Which file you want to read? I'm trying to read this particular file. Okay, just put it there. That's it. Okay, but when you are trying to read a file, there can be checked exceptions that can happen. See, there can be case where the file not found can happen. File not found means there may be a case that the file may not be in that particular position. Okay, I'm okay about it. Okay, just throw it. I'm not really bothered about it. Now, this is fine, but what kind of Excel sheet you want to read? Because previously we also had older format, that is XLS. Now the newer format is XLSX. So before Microsoft 2007, I think it's XLS. After 2007, it is XLSX. So this is XLSX file, right? XLSX means you need to use XSSF workbook. So if you notice, this is coming from Apache POE. The previous two lines are coming from Java. This file, this class is coming from Apache POE. So I'm trying to read XLSX, so I have to use XSSF. Okay. So I'm trying to find the workbook. Okay, that's fine. New work XSSF workbook, and then I'm trying to read it. Okay. This may also throw you when you try to read and write to it. It can also throw you input output exception. Okay, this is a checked exception that happens when you try to read from one file or write to one file. Okay, that's fine. I'm not really bothered about it for now. So now we entered the this workbook. Now we want to fetch. Let's say I want to fetch this admin. Okay, value. So now to fetch this, I need to first get into this particular sheet because there can be a lot of sheets. Okay. So first I need to get into this particular sheet one. So what are the ways? So if I tell X is, okay, let's say workbook, in the workbook, I want to get a sheet. Now there are two options. I can find the sheet using the sheet index or the sheet name. Sheet index, what is sheet index? So sheet one is in the 0th index. Sheet 2 is the first index. Sheet 3 is the second index. But for now, you can use index or name, but it's better to find it using the name of the sheet. Okay, because that's more appropriate. Either you can use get sheeted and 0th index because that sheet one is in the 0th index, or you can just mention get sheet and then pass the sheet name. So sheet name is more appropriate because if there are 100 sheets, it's easy for you to find the sheet name rather than the sheet index. I'm getting the sheet. Okay, that's fine. So this will give me a sheet object. So now I have entered this sheet. Now I need to find the row number, then the column number so that I can find this. Correct? So very simple. So sheet dot get. Okay, row. So you pass me the row number. So again, this is the first row, this is second row, this is third row. But again, the rows will start from index. Like imagine the array. Everything in programming is mostly index. So it will start from this is a 0th row, this is first row. So I want to fetch the admin, right? So I need to kill first row, get row of first row, and then what cell you want to get. Okay, I want to get the column number of this is 0, this is 1. So column number is also 1. Okay, you went to there. What is presented there? Okay, there is a string that is present. I want to get that string. Okay, then get string cell value. Now, this will basically give you a string. Okay, so this is the value that you are trying to fetch. Now I'll do a out and then I'll paste it. Right, I'll print it. Let's see whether it is able to read the value that is present in this particular uh, B2 cell. This is B2, right? You all know what is B2. B and 2 is P2. Okay. So whenever you are reading Excel, it's always a good practice to close the Excel, otherwise it might get corrupted. So let's run it. So if you guys notice, admin is getting printed. So this is what we want to do. So any doubts in this so far? How to approach this? Any doubts? Yes or no?
It's clear.
Okay, it's clear, right? Good. So now we have fetched this, but most probably, if we want to fetch all the values in the Excel, let's say, let's open this in Explorer, and then if we want to if I want to read all these values, okay, then what is a good approach? If I want to fetch all these values, I want to print all these values.
For loop.
Yes, for loop. So there are two things in programming. If you know these two things, you can write any code, for loop and if condition. Okay, so with this you can do anything. There are while loop, do while, but there is a reason why I have not taught teach you guys, because most probably 99% you can do all these things with this. Doesn't mean I'm not going to teach you while or do while, but it's going to be really easy. So first we'll focus on the real essential part, which is for loop. So now I can I understood that we want to run a for loop, but from where to where you will run a for loop? Can anyone tell me?
First, we have to find the number of rows, then number of columns.
Exactly. So how to find the number of rows? So you need to know what is the last row, because sometimes people can add one more value. So you cannot directly hard code. For example, now you can count 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay, now I have to iterate till 3. Okay, now you can. But if there are 3000 rows, suddenly they insert one more row, your manual tester comes and insert one more row. But how will you do that? You cannot really hard code the values. Let's say first I'll hard code. So 0, 1, 2, 3. So the number of rows is basically 3, right? So if you want to make it as 3 less than or equal to 3, or you can put 4 less than 4, right? This is for row. Okay, I can iterate, row wise. I can iterate row wise. But as I told, this is a 2D matrix. Imagine this is a 2D matrix that we learned yesterday. So you have to iterate row wise as well as column wise, correct? So for the column, again for I, and the number of columns is 0 and 1. Either you can put less than 2 or less than or equal to 1. Now we are iterating till here. I want to do S out. What do you want to print? Okay, I want to print. There is a sheet. Okay, there is a sheet. I already have the sheet. What is the row? Row is I, right? So row is I, get cell, column is maintained by J. Okay, because J is 0 and 1, right? We are iterating till 0 and 1. So this is J dot get string cell value. Okay, good. Now, if you notice, we are iterating till 4 in the row wise. Yeah, 0, 1, 2, 3. Less than 4 is actually 3. And then here 0, 1, 1, which is less than 2, which is what we have given here. And J++, everything looks fine. Let's try to check whether this is working. Maybe I will comment this out. Okay, let's try to run it. Wow, super. But again, if you notice, there is some error. There is telling null pointer exception in the 23rd line. So there is some null pointer exception that happened here. What is that? So it printed username, password, admin123 admin. Then this also is getting printed. But there is one more, it is telling null pointer exception, username, password, admin. So this is not getting printed, right? This is not getting printed. Why it is telling null pointer then? So I value will be basically 3, right? So if you see something like this, maybe delete some some spaces here. But because let's say you type something like this and then you delete it, but this will be still considered by the Excel sheet. So always try to select these lines and delete it. Okay, something like this. Otherwise, it may throw some error like that. So now I removed all this. Maybe I'll also remove this. Let's try to, so 0, 1, and 2. Let's try to run it now. Let's see what's happening. Okay, now I think the problem is with the 4. Okay, let's see. It is trying to read one more extra value, which is the problem. So let's try to put 3, 0, 1, and 2. So see. So if you're trying to read an empty cell, it will also throw you null pointer exception. Okay, good. Now this is fine. So I think the this is little different. Okay, because let's say let's go to the Excel, open in Explorer. So 0, 1, and 2. So it should be less than 3. Correct. Okay. So less than 3. So this, instead of hard coding, what we are going to do, we are going to find the last row number. So sheet dot, to get the last row number, you can just tell in the sheet what is the last row number. Get last row number. Okay. This will basically be last row number. Okay. First we will print out what this is printing. Okay. Last row number. Maybe I'll use yes out V last row number. Okay, let's try to run it to check whether the last row number is actually 3 or. See, if you notice the last row number, it is telling us 2. Okay, um, because this basically calculates 0, 1, and 2, right? So what I have to do, 3 plus last row number plus 1. Okay, because last row number is 2, but we want to iterate till 3 rows less than 3. Okay, or we can also mention iterate last row number less than or equal to last row number. You can also put like this. Okay, so less than or equal to is okay, or you can also put less than and then last row number plus 1. Same way, we also want to find the last column number. So now she dot get last column number. There is no last column number. Why? Because each row can have different number of columns. This may have one extra column. Okay, two. So this one will have only this. Will have only this. So if you mention last column number, it doesn't know whether it has to give you this or this. So you can only find the column number for a particular row. For example, in our case, we can only find for the first one, right? So that is the 0th index. So we can assume, okay, if there are only 2 columns in the first row, which means it will be 2 columns in the all the rows. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to tell, instead of directly getting that, we'll first get the 0th column. In the 0th column, sorry, in the 0th row, get the last cell number. Okay, this is in the assumption that if the first row is having only 2 columns, all the rows in the below will also have 2 columns. Okay, so if someone is putting username password, which means they will give all the values here, right? If you mention first name here, we assume that they give some values here. Okay, otherwise why someone will just give like this? Okay, so that's what the assumption is. Okay, so let's remove this, delete, and we'll also delete this because we have edited that field. If you have some doubts, you can also delete this. Guys, this is very, very important because if you don't do this, it will throw some errors, null pointer exception. Okay, so let's say I edited something here and I edited something here. I'll remove this. Okay, this is not visible to our naked eyes. Let's try to run it. Okay, let's see what's happening. Okay, this time it worked, but yeah, sometimes, okay, it may not take into account, and then it'll treat this as a new one, a new row number, and then it'll take that into consideration and throw null pointer exception. Okay, but yeah, here the last row number, last cell number is this, so we will say the last cell number is in. Okay, now the last cell number is this. Let's also print out and see what's happening. Last cell number. Okay, the last cell number is also 2, so we can just keep it like that. Okay, less than or equal to 2, and then in the cell, I think in the cell side it is counting the last cell number as 1, 2, 3. Here it is counting as 0, 1, 2. That is the difference. So please, uh, print the last row number, last column number, and then you iterate the for loop. Okay, so because the behavior is little different. Okay, the row number, it printed as last row number is 2. It counted as index 0, 1, 2. But here it is starting from 1 and 2. Okay, when we take the last cell number, so this is little different behavior, but yeah, just adjust with it. This is how the Apache POE developers have developed it, but yeah, that's fine for us. So every time you read from an Excel, just print the last row number, last column number, and iterate till that, and you'll be able to read from the Excel sheet. So we have understood how we can read from the Excel sheet. Tomorrow, what we need to do is whatever we are reading from the Excel sheet, we have to feed it to the data provider, right? So instead of you hard coding this value, okay, let me create one more class, data provider with Excel. We create this and we'll copy this whole stuff. Okay. So instead of you hard coding this, don't hard code it. Okay. Let's okay. Now let's say you want to read it from this Excel sheet and then you have to put it here. Okay, let's open this. Now, if you notice, what is the number of rows is basically 0, 1, 2, but we don't need this username password, right? We will not be needing this at all. Okay, because this is just a header information. Okay, so we don't need this. So our thing is it is a 2 by 2 matrix, correct? 2 rows, 2 columns. So we have to put 2 rows, 2 columns here. Okay, or you can find the Excel sheet, you can find the last row number, last cell number, and put it there. Now our all we have to do is we have to load the values into this object array. So we are reading the values, we will read these values. Okay, we will read these values and we will put it into the object array. So the data provider will take that care of it. Okay, so we need to write the logic on how to read Excel, and we need to load. So a of 0 comma 0 is actually should come from your Excel sheet. Okay, the same way you have to load all these 4 values of this object array with the values that you read from the Excel sheet. This is what we are going to do tomorrow. I don't want to overload today, so yeah, we will do that tomorrow. Once we read from the Excel and load it, it will again still work absolutely normal way. Okay, the only difference is previously we hard coded the value. Now instead of hard coding, we will fetch it from the Excel sheet and we will load into the data provider, so the object array. Okay, any doubts?
Amuthan, yeah, I have one doubt. Can you open the Excel once again?
Yeah.
Amuthan, suppose like you created the Excel and utility and framework and provided it to the team members, and suppose like username, password, and one tester came, he entered the value in 2 row like admin password, but in 3rd row he just gave the username, but he didn't give the password. So suppose if like you have written the code
Yeah,
for
okay.
loading the complete Excel data and keeping it inside the keeping it to the object array. So in that case, it will throw null pointer exception or not? It will throw,
Yes, it
correct?
will throw null pointer exception. So in those cases, what you can do, you can just add one single quote like this.
So that this part we need to tell everyone. Like this is mandatory to fill every column where cell.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you are
Okay.
giving something as empty, it won't work. Again,
It will
the
not.
same code which we worked, right? So let's say I will put 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 is a number, correct? Let's go here and let's go to the Excel reading. Let's try to run it now. Let's see what's happening. Okay, now it is not even reading the 1, 2, 3, 4. If you notice,
Yeah, hold on. It is taking admin.
so
Do we need
this,
to refresh the project?
so no, I have saved this admin 1, 2, 3 admin. I think, yeah, I think I didn't save it. Okay, let's save this and let's try to run it again. It should basically throw error. So if you
Yeah.
notice, cannot get a string value. So what we are telling, hey, try to get the string value. Okay, but it's telling, hey, here they're all string. I could be able to read it, but suddenly there is a numeric cell. Okay, this cell is called a numeric cell because it has only numbers.
Number.
So to make it as a string, just add a single quote. That's it. Now this becomes a string. I'll save the file. I'll run it again. This time it will work. Okay, now this is working, but this is a string. You need to, if you want as a number, you need to convert from string to number, right? Again, if you want to leave something as empty, I'm now leaving this as an empty. I'll save it again. I'll run the test again. This time it will throw null pointer exception. So if you notice, this is telling null pointer exception. Hey, you are trying to read something, but there is nothing here. There is null. There is nothing here. What I will read? You are telling read a string, but I could not see anything there. Okay, then in those cases, treat it as an empty string. This is an empty string. I just added one single quote. That's it. Now, if you save it and try to run it, it will treat it as an empty string. No more errors. Okay.
Any Boolean values means?
Any Boolean values, again, you have to use get. So again, guys, she dot get row of let's say I whatever get sheet. So get row, get cell of 0, whatever, and then dot get boolean cell value. So you need to call this particular method, but you cannot really find what is inside that and then do all these things. So even if you are having true or false, okay, even if you're having true or false, it's better to add a single quote and convert it into a string. Read everything as a string. Okay. And when you are using it, convert into Boolean or convert into integer or convert into whatever the type you want. That is the best way possible. Okay.
Okay, then.
So
Amodhan,
everything
one
should be
last
string.
question.
Yeah.
A last question. Can we open multiple projects in the in this IntelliJ ID? Like how we able to
Uh,
open the
in Eclipse, you can do that, but in IntelliJ, it will create a new IntelliJ itself. Okay, so if you want to open a new one, let's say I want to open my APM training, you can open this in this window, which means it will close this window and open this here, or you can click on new window. So it will
Okay,
create a new window itself. So now, if you notice, there is two things here.
through window, but in the same window we cannot have
You cannot
multiple
open.
projects. Yeah, that's it.
What's, you mean to say, Prince, from in the your project explorer left side, right?
Yeah.
Yes, yes. I tried it, Muthan. Even I was looking for it. Then I searched in Google. Can you go to file? Then on top,
Mhm.
I think close it. Close it. 1 second.
But this is not
Yes.
a
So
big deal where you don't have to really have two projects, so that even if you have it in two different windows, it's okay, you can still manage it well, right? So if you are an
yes,
Eclipse
yes,
user,
yes.
you may find little different, but yeah, once you start using it, this seems to be more good approach, switching between the things.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yes,
got it.
exactly. Yeah, correct.
Okay, so you don't really have to worry about it. Let me close this. Yeah, so we only have this. So